Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Big Ten Under 10 on the Hoosier Network. I'm Graham Nash, of course, alongside Adam Oppenheim, bringing you more updates from Big Ten men's sports. The Big Ten men's basketball tournament is just a week away, which means the top-ranked teams need to escape upsets. However, that didn't happen for one Big Ten team last week. Here's your scores for men's basketball. 15th-ranked Michigan suffered a large 20-point upset to unranked Illinois at home last Sunday. They nearly lost 2 games in a row, actually, as they squeaked past unranked Rutgers by 2 points. 11th-ranked Wisconsin split a pair last week, taking down unranked Washington at home by 16 and losing to 8th-ranked Michigan State by 9 on the road. MSU, they had a strong week, also taking down 16th-ranked Maryland in a stunning buzzer beater. More on that in just a moment. Maryland was able to pick up a win, taking down unranked Penn State by 4 on the road. And lastly, 20th-ranked Purdue took down UCLA by 10 at home. Now, we're going to send it to the big screen. Adam is at the board to break down some of the incredible buzzer beaters that we saw from the last week of action. Adam?
Thanks, Graham. Back here in the film room where we usually break down just one game. But with all the crazy finishes in the Big Ten this past week, let's highlight a few of them and show you how they went down. First play is between 2 non-ranked teams in the Big Ten. So why does it matter so much? Well, Nebraska, they're firmly on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. Let's play the clip. Bryce Williams on the drive. Good defense by Mitchell, rejects the shot. Rebound goes to Gary. He sticks it back. Now Nebraska, they have a 1-point lead. But Lakai Patterson on the other end grabs the inbounds, quickly pushes it up the floor. Not sure what all these Nebraska players are doing. It's like 4 Cornhuskers against 1 Golden Gopher. And Brennan Rigsby is open for a 3-pointer and drains it. And that ends up being the game-winning shot as Nebraska tries a last-second attempt. Inbound goes to Hoiberg. And then a shot at the buzzer is no good by Nebraska. Minnesota hangs on to win. The Cornhuskers will now need to win their last 2 regular season games in the Big Ten and possibly pick up 2 Big Ten tournament wins to feel comfortable about their chances going into Selection Sunday. On to the second play. This is between a ranked team and an unranked team, Michigan and Rutgers. 3.6 seconds on the clock. Rutgers is up by 1 point. Inbound's going to go to Danny Wolf. He's quickly in a lot of trouble. But the problem for Rutgers is Dylan Harper right here. Talented freshman, is probably going to be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. But he leaves Namari Burnett wide open for 3. That is way too far of a closeout. And we play it here. Harper helps on a Wolf drive that he just doesn't need to. Namari Burnett is 40% on the year from 3. It's a deep 3, but it's also an open shot. And he drains it. Important 3 for Michigan to win it at the buzzer. And this last play is one of the best plays in college basketball the entire year. And it's between Michigan State and Maryland. Maryland grabs the rebound, Jacoby Gillespie. And you're going to watch him walk up the floor. So ideally, you have 8.1 seconds left. You'd hold for 1 shot. It's a tie game. You don't want to give Michigan State a chance for a rebuttal shot. Instead, you either win the game or you go to overtime. Jacoby Gillespie goes up the court and decides to pull up for 3. Look at the clock. 5.2 seconds left. I mean, why are you pulling up that early for a 3? He ends up missing it off the front rim. And now Maryland's playing a little bit of transition defense. And then Trey Holloman from beyond half court, bullseye. The Terrapins, terrible clock management, loses them this game. However, the Spartans win in one of the toughest road environments in the nation to sit atop the Big Ten. I'll tell you what, Graham, the action is heating up in the Big Ten. That only means one thing. Welcome to March, Graham.
Thanks so much, Adam. The tournament begins next Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is in Indianapolis at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, so a big home court advantage for the Indiana Hoosiers and the Purdue Boilermakers. Adam, welcome back to the desk. Got a few questions for you. First, let's talk a little bit about the Michigan Wolverines. They've lost 2 of their last 4 and just got smoked, frankly, by Illinois. How concerned should Dusty May and the Wolverines be heading into the tournament?
Honestly, pretty concerned because they did not play well against Illinois. Vlad Golan had 22 points. No one else scored in double digits for Michigan. They allowed 19 offensive rebounds, which meant that Illinois had 12 more field goal attempts. You can't really do that in the Big Ten. Danny Wolf, 5 turnovers, only 9 points. The biggest thing I want to focus on is the turnover problem. 14.3 turnovers per game this year. That's the most in the Big Ten by almost 2 turnovers. Penn State's in second with 12.4. 14.3 turnovers is 22nd in Division I in turnovers per game. And the only team above them that's a Power 5 team is Colorado. Colorado on the year is 11-18, 2-16 in Big 12 play, and 0-9 on the road. Michigan is a ranked team who just constantly turns the ball over. You cannot go deep into March if you just keep giving the ball away. And this Michigan team is done at the beginning of the season, the middle of the season, and now working to the end of the season.
You go across the state. You go to Michigan State. They are on a roll right now, unlike their rivals in Michigan. Go back to that buzzer beater that you just broke down. Are they the favorite to win the tournament, or was that just a stroke of luck?
I mean, I think they are the favorite, but I could see anyone coming out of the Big Ten. I'll say one thing. I saw this on Twitter as well. The team who's the best team in the Big Ten is the team who wins the regular season. The Big Ten tournament, you could, luck into a couple games. But throughout the whole season, the regular season champions is usually the best Big Ten team. I think it's probably going to be Michigan State. Michigan State does everything well in the margins. I talked about with Michigan that they don't do that well. Michigan State's a good rebounding team. They don't turn the ball over, and they have a high free throw percentage, one of the tops in Division I. Tom Izzo is a great coach, and they have terrific guard play. Jace Richardson and Trey Holloman are 2 guards who can create for themselves and others. And I'm just very confident in the coach that Tom Izzo is when it turns to March, January, February. Izzo.
All right.
Izzo is March.
Izzo is March. Hey, put your money on those Michigan State Spartans. It's coming up. Now, we'll move to the diamond to get a little bit of a break from the hardwood. Here's the scores from the last week in baseball. Number 10, Oregon took down unranked Columbia 20-11, 8-3, and 35-1. Let that sink in a moment. 35-1. The Ducks, man, they have quickly established themselves as the team to beat in the Big Ten. Nebraska, they were 23rd, but are no longer. They went 1-2 last week, notably losing to the best team in the country, LSU, and to unranked Kansas State. Lastly, unranked Indiana started to find a bit more of momentum. They went 3-1 over the weekend and are now an even 6-6 on the season. Adam, let's turn to that Nebraska-LSU game. They lost 11-6, did the Cornhuskers. How did the Tigers get such a strong win?
Well, Nebraska was in this game up until the 7th inning where they gave up 6 runs, an error, and then 3 straight 2 RBI hits. You have to play well defensively, and you got to get out of the innings, especially with 2 outs against a really good LSU team. But Nebraska, they've looked still pretty strong in the Big Ten.
Look at another team that's been very strong, the Oregon Ducks. They're 10-2. They've been phenomenal, but they haven't played anyone fantastic yet. So their first Big Ten matchup is coming up against USC this Saturday. What do you have to see to be convinced that they're real contenders?
Well, I think they have to pitch well, don't walk batters, don't even need high strikeout numbers. You just not giving batters free passes, hit by pitches, and walks are really key. And then clean on the defensive end. Really, it's not a super stacked conference, so to say they can be at the top of the conference isn't. They need to play great ball. They can play okay, and they'd probably be top 3 in the Big Ten. Grayson Grinsell is the Big Ten preseason pitcher of the year, and he's going to be a real key for the Ducks.
Baseball is still just in the beginnings of its season. A sport that is not is men's hockey. Let's take a trip to the ice. Get you scores from men's hockey. 8th-ranked Ohio State and 11th-ranked Michigan had 2 great battles on the ice last week. The Buckeyes won the first 2-1 in overtime, and Michigan won 4-3 in the second. 3rd-ranked Michigan State took down unranked Notre Dame 5-2 in both of their games last week. And lastly, number 2 Minnesota split a pair with number 15 Penn State. The Nittany Lions won their first 4-3 in overtime, and then the Golden Gophers responded with a 5-3 win in the second. Lastly, but certainly not least, the Big Ten Swim and Dive Championships were held last week, and the Indiana Hoosiers won their 4th title in a row. They have firmly established themselves as a dynasty, winning 7 of the last 9 Big Ten Swim and Dive Championships. And that is going to wrap up today's show. Huge thanks to our producer, Colin Dusek, and teleprompter, Henry Thuss, for making all of this possible. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at B1G_under10, and check back in later this week for our next episode of Big Ten Under 10.